What's going on, lads and lasses? Welcome back to 100% Mag. So we head into this game against Wolves down at the Molineux, 5:30 kickoff, live on Sky Sports tomorrow. Of course, as we head into this game on the back of 5 unbeaten games in the Premier League. And of course, this is a game where I would expect us to hopefully continue on that unbeaten streak in the Premier League. Unfortunately, we're unbeaten streak in all competitions came to an end, of course, in our last game in the Champions League with Borussia Dortmund coming away 1-0 winners in that. This is a chance now for the lads and Eddie to bounce back from that 1-0 defeat in the Champions League and show what we are made of in the Premier League against Wolves down at the Molineux. Now, of course, after 9 Premier League games played so far this season, if you compare our season from last season with 9 games played, we were 5th in the league, +8 on goal difference, 17 goals scored, 9 goals conceded. Then you look at this season and we are 6th in the league. We have, of course, 16 points. Last season we had 14 points at this point. But this season we have 16 points, 6th in the league, +15 on goal difference. 24 goals scored this season and 9 conceded. So conceded the same amount of goals, but scored even more than last season. So it's looking good. You know, a lot of people are saying that things are going bad for we. I've just got to say, you know, that these people are jumping on the back of one defeat to Borussia Dortmund in the Champions League, and they're hanging on to that like a safety blanket. And you know, you can say that there was chances in that game. Even the Borussia Dortmund goalkeeper himself came out, you know, and said that Borussia Dortmund won because Newcastle were unlucky in the game. And you could say that, you know, you could say there was so many chances where we could have won that game and we were just very unlucky that it hit the crossbar. Just managed to hit here, there and everywhere but the back of the net forward in that game against Borussia Dortmund. But this game tomorrow down at the Molineux is going to be a chance, you know, to show that that game was nothing. That game was just a fluke. And of course we are still the team, you know, that is out there performing at the highest ability. Looking at, of course, our squad going into the game, Eddie Howe did have his press conference, of course, this morning, heading into this game, and a few little clippets from, of course, his press conference is that he was talking about the likes of Elliot Anderson being out for 8 weeks with a back injury. We also heard him talk about Murphy as well, who picked up an injury in the game against Borussia Dortmund, and he went on to say, of course, that Murphy may require surgery. Isak as well, who also was seen pick up an injury in the game and seen substituted off, of course, very early in the game. Callum Wilson coming on for Isak. And it is being said that Isak might be able to feature in this game against Wolves tomorrow, but it will be a touch and go, probably a late fitness test to see if he would be available for the game, of course. And Tonali has still yet to be given a official announcement on his ban here, of course, in the UK. UEFA and FIFA, of course, have yet to announce that Sandro Tonali is banned. So until, of course, that is a formal confirmation that he has been banned, then, of course, he will be available for selection. As Eddie Howe has said in his press conference, Sandro Tonali has travelled with the team down to the Molineux, so as long as there is no formal confirmation, of course, of you know, the ban, then Sandro Tonali will be able to play, which I don't think there will be any formal confirmation on that, of course. With it being such a very short space of time, it has been known that UEFA and FIFA can take up to 2 months to confirm these bans. So that would mean that we would have Sandro Tonali for the next 2 months. That is if, of course, it does go down the usual timeline that it does take FIFA and UEFA to formally confirm that the player has been banned. But Joe Willock is in line to make his first Premier League appearance this season, assuming he suffers no reaction to his comeback in midweek against Borussia Dortmund. Of course, he came on and he looked pretty decent. I've got to say, he put in a pretty good shift forward as well. Harvey Barnes will still miss out for this game. Obviously, he's going to be out for quite a while. Harvey Barnes. Sven Botman is still a little ways off as well from getting back into the action for Newcastle. And of course, other than that, there's nothing really much on the injury side of things to talk about. Looking at Bruno Guimaraes, of course, he's one booking away from serving an automatic one-match ban after reaching 5 yellow cards in Premier League. Of course, 4 yellow cards in the Premier League. He's 1 game away from that automatic one-match ban. So, hopefully he doesn't get carded in this game against Wolves. But looking at the Wolves team news going into the game, of course, they are missing Hugo Bruno. Of course, he'll be missing due to injury, but Mario Lema, Nelson Semedo will be available after completing their suspensions. Gary O'Neill's side are unbeaten in their last 3 Premier League outings. A 2-1 home win over Man City, a 2-1 win away at Bournemouth, sandwiching a 1-1 draw with Aston Villa at the Molineux. The ref for this game will be none other than Anthony Taylor, first sighting of the season for the Cheshire-born official, whose last Newcastle game was a 3-1 Premier League home victory over Southampton back in April. And on VAR will be the Aussie Scouser, Jared Gillette, on VAR for the game. And of course, looking at the recent fixtures down at the Molineux when we've played there, most of them have been draws. The last time we won in course at the Molineux was back in 16-17 campaign in the Championship, with Alexander Mitrovic scoring the goal in the Premier League. Of course, it was the 11-12 season with Demba Ba and Jonas Gutierrez scoring the goals in the Premier League in a 2-1 win against Wolves. So we haven't won in the Premier League against them at their ground since the 11-12 season. But hopefully, we will see a win in this game against Wolves tomorrow in that 5:30 kickoff. Let us know your thoughts going into this game. What you're feeling. Wolves fans, if you're watching, what's your thoughts going into this game? Like I've just said, Newcastle's going into this game on the back of 5 unbeaten games. You, of course, are going into this game on the back of your last 3 outings, being unbeaten in your last 3 outings. So, obviously we have been up against Gary O'Neill before, when it was at Bournemouth. We've taken him on, of course, and we had some pretty good luck against him, and we had a pretty good result against him as well. But I think this scoreline, if I had to choose a scoreline for this game, I would go with Newcastle to come away from this one 3-1 winners against Wolves. That would be the scoreline that I'd go for. Of course, I'd happily take a 1-0 and get the 3 points in the bag, because that then, of course, pushes Newcastle up the table and, of course, helps we get back into that 5th place. Of course, because if we win this one, at the moment we're currently sitting 6th in the table with 16 points. That would take we up to 19 points. Aston Villa, of course, 5th with 19 points, but they've only got plus 10 on goal difference, whilst we've got plus 15. So we've got 5 more on the goal difference than Aston Villa have. And Wolves, of course, are sitting down in 12th in the table. So if it happened to go in their favour in the game, then they would end up with, of course, 14. That would take them up to 9th in the table, where West Ham at the moment currently occupy that place. Of course, this is all if the results also go in favour as well of the matches that are playing around that time as well, with the teams around us. Both teams, of course, going into this game. But I do fancy what to come away from the Molineux with a win, and I am going with a 3-1 win for this game. Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Make sure to hit like, share, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you all in the next one. However, lads.